Hello, hello. This video is on how to use social media in a healthy way. And social media is something that everybody or most people use. I've used social media for over 20 years since messengers, since the days of AOL Messenger, ICQ, MSN Messenger, and browser-based games that have chats in them. So I've used it for a long time, since the 90s. And the technology has gotten way better. You can video chat, and video chat was like gold back then. It was very rare to find somebody who would have a video camera. But now, with social media, Instagram, Facebook, and all that, Snapchat, WhatsApp, and Telegram and such, people normally communicate with smartphones to their family, friends, and all that kind of stuff. And it's in the palm of your hand, which is great in as far as the convenience. But what people struggle with nowadays more than ever is back in the 90s, it was more people on computers using it and stuff like that. So there was a barrier. Now anybody, including kids and teenagers and elderly, can use social media on their smartphone. But the struggle is, how can they use social media in a healthy way? I've teetered back and forth between using social media heavily um, to not using it at all, to just in between. And I've used various platforms. I'll just start right back from the beginning. Those messengers and such that I mentioned, I've used MySpace. I've used Facebook since it came out back in 2005, 2006, when Facebook very first came out. Yeah, you only people who had a college email could get on Facebook. It was only for college students. So that was really cool because there was kind of like a barrier, and you had to have a college email address to get onto Facebook. That was the whole draw. It was like a social media for college students. I don't know why that doesn't exist now, because that would be a good option again. Or there's another platform just for that, but there isn't one that's widely popular. But Facebook went away to just having everybody on it a few years later. And then that's when it blew up. Well, I guess in 2008, 2009, it really blew up. And everybody and their grandma uses it. By now, people consider it boring. But, and then you had other platforms like Instagram and such. But the big question is, how do people use social media in a healthy way? For someone who's really young, old people don't have that problem, like elderly, but for really young people, this could be their world, you know? Maybe the real world sucks for them, and this is their outlet and stuff, so this is how they reach out to the bigger world. Um, Social media can really become a toxic place mentally, even for adults who have more maturity, have more mental faculty to weigh and process and balance using social media, not taking things to heart. Even adults, such as myself, can have a struggle with the pros and cons of using social media. Um, I think with social media, you need to, you can view it. Whenever I stopped using it, I, I just thought, okay, well, the answer is just to stop using it completely. It's easy, right? Because, like, us humans, we like to think in extremes, like on, off, yes or no, because it's more simple that way. But sometimes that's not always the answer, just like, oh, like, you don't stop using completely. Well, social media is a great way to keep in touch with your family and stuff. So if you don't have a platform to use, and let's say, for example, you're trying to stay in touch with your family, then you're just relegated to sending text messages and pictures and such through messenger platforms, which is okay for one-on-one conversations. But when you're trying to communicate with all of your family at once, it becomes, especially if you have a lot of family members, 10, 20, 30, 40 plus people, it doesn't even make sense to be sending messages to every single person on that when you can just share it on a platform and everybody's on it and they can just comment on it there. Social media broken down to the most basic example, it can be viewed as a bulletin board, old school. It can be viewed as a bulletin board where everybody shares and everything like that and in one place and you can see it. So that is a very good thing. But if you're just sending messages and stuff to different people, even if it's catching up with friends and family, sometimes you want to have a one-on-one conversation with privacy and sometimes you don't. Sometimes when you have a conversation publicly, like in a group, or social media can be like viewed as a whole group of people standing in a circle talking to each other. That's one benefit you get that wouldn't really happen if you're using a messenger platform or text messages and stuff like that. So you miss out on that roundabout group chat kind of not feature, but um, that kind of way of communicating in a group. So social media lets you communicate in a group, and so that's one benefit of it. But obviously, social media can be viewed as a ranking system. Who's the coolest? Who's the most popular? That's obviously the most toxic thing, right? And if there's any bullying going on, usually bullying goes on with teenagers, and they have exclusively teenage like groups or maybe even young adults, whatever. But once you are on your Facebook and you have friends with like all your family and people of various ages that they're not going to take no bullying if you're getting bullied. It's usually when it's only just like a little school group or something like that. Think of the book. What's that book that we had to read in high school? Um, Not Grapes of Wrath. It's the one where the kids are on the island together and the plane crashes and the only adult pilot is dead and then the whole island is full of kids and they become just like little terrorists to each other. Um, yeah, I can't think of the book's name right now, but that's the book. And it was like a dog eat dog world with the kids. That's what it's like on social media when it's only kids only or teenagers only. That's what happens. It becomes like an island of like bullying and stuff like that. Social media can be viewed as a video game. I think that's one way you can view it as in a healthy way is that any likes or comments you get, they're just points, you know? It doesn't, if you get likes and comments, or if you don't get, or if you don't get as much as someone else, it doesn't mean anything. It can mean something. It can mean you're a very likable person, or you're not a very likable person, but also it doesn't directly um, mean anything. It can be viewed as like points in a video game. It can be viewed as um, a bonus, you know. So whether you see comments and likes from the the most people, or not a lot of people, or just certain people, you can just take it with a grain of salt. Also, with social media, you can view things literally, like a bank account, which is, you shouldn't view it too literally. You should view it like, you have to realize that some people who use social media, they're not checking it all the time. Some people check it. Some people use it a lot. So some people use it not at all. You know, some people use it sporadically. And so sometimes when you see somebody who doesn't look at your post, or doesn't click like, or doesn't comment, or your story, they're not looking at, or they're looking at your story but they're not liking your post or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it just means they're busy. After a while, maybe they're busy with life, or maybe they haven't even checked opened the app at all in like weeks, or in days or weeks. But when we have use our short attention spans on social media, you kind of like want everybody to like be viewing it subconsciously, and not everybody's gonna look at it, but it doesn't mean they don't like you. It doesn't mean they hate you. Sometimes it could be like a sour person, but you have to just look at each person as an individual. And sometimes people don't click on like, or they don't view your story. Sometimes they don't know you that well, so they don't want to intrude. So sometimes they don't like you in person, and they don't like you on social media, even though they added you. Sometimes it looks like they don't like you on social media, but in real life they do like you. It's just that's just the way they use it. They use it differently. And some people are more like power users, where they can get on it and click like on everything, and they don't care, and all that stuff. So you have to like view, you know, view it by the situation and by the person, and you have to view it by like how much they use it and all that kind of stuff. And don't take it too seriously. It's not serious. And people are busy, so you'll see some people where they like you in person, but sometimes they click like, sometimes they don't. Because they come and go. Well, they're just not on the app that much, or maybe they're just tired, you know. Now, validation has gotten a lot of flack because validation was demonized by people. You're like, oh, you just want validation. You just want validation. I say validation can be good. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because validation, like, as a business person, businessman, businesswoman, tell them they don't need validation. And they're going to be like, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Like, they want the proof. Validation can be viewed as proof. So there's nothing wrong with validation in a good way. Validation is somebody caring about you. Validation is love. Like sometimes people like demonize, oh, you just want the most likes or and stuff like that on social media, or comments and all that kind of stuff. No, I think people just want people to care about them. People want them. It's not um, It's not wrong to be liked. It's not wrong to be cared about. In the Bible, it says you're supposed to love your neighbor like you love yourself. So you're to love others like you love yourself, and others are to love you like they love themselves. It's not just, and also the definition of love is also self self sacrificing yourself for the good of someone else. If you're always looking for reciprocal, it's not always like that. So you give anyways, even if you don't get back. You just do it out of love, But if you just only like to get a like back, I'm gonna only like their stuff if they like you back. How's it ever gonna get started? Because you're at a stalemate. Oh, well, you don't click like on my stuff. I'm not gonna click like on your stuff. Like you can't think like that. Kind of just do whatever. And if they get offended, if it, some people they like that you like their stuff. Some people maybe they think they're too good for you, and then you click like, it just makes them look bad or something like that. It just depends. But those people aren't meant to be your friends anyways. Just go find some better friends somewhere else. You have to socialize. Um, this is going to be a long video because it is a broad topic. So, when you see the hearts on Instagram and when you see the likes on Facebook and all that kind of stuff, you have to view it in a healthy way. It's not going to make or break you. It is like a bulletin board. Don't take it personal. It's like a bulletin board where people can share. And sometimes people are there and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're busy, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they want to, and sometimes they don't want to click like. It doesn't mean, I used to think, okay, they're not clicking like, they don't like me, but no, they may like you, but they don't know you that well, or they don't, maybe they're too tired to comment. They don't use social media in that way, but they're looking at they still accepted your friend request. They're still looking at your posts and stuff. Some people just like to use it like that. They just um, they look, but then they don't click around anything. They just look, because maybe they don't want to offend anybody. Maybe they don't want to weird anybody out, all that kind of stuff. So once you start to understand the big picture of social media and how it's just a highway for people to interact with each other, it's like a mirror of how people would be in real life, kind of, more or less. So once you view it like that and you have thick skin and stuff, like you can use it as a way to keep in touch with people, to communicate with people, to appreciate people, or to show, that you like what they post, or showing love to people, and you won't be offended. Once you become like that, you know, it can be used in a healthy way. Whether it doesn't matter the platform, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. You know, Also, social media can be used as a form of news. When people share things, when people tell things, and all that kind of stuff. How are you going to tell? You know, most people, they know like 50 to 100 people in their life. You know, even if they're only friends with a small amount of people, a lot of people, they know 50 to 100 people. So it doesn't even make sense to be texting like all these people when it can just be shared in one place and everybody can look at it. What's wrong with that? In that base sense, there's nothing wrong with that. So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, because I found myself quitting social media for a year and a half, and it became very lonely, because look at the people who quit. Are they satisfied? Some people are satisfied. They're making YouTube videos and stuff, and they're satisfied and all that. But you do it. As like, did you still see plenty of people on it? So like, it's not wrong. Like, how are you going to stay in touch with grandma and stuff like that? Or people acquaintances. It's great for networking. People co-workers and stuff. Like, it can be a beautiful thing, and then they can see your social circles, and get to know you better. You know, that is something you can see with pictures and, like who's in your social circle and vice versa. And you can really start to see, um, like see a picture of like what, a person's personality and character. So you can see that a lot more versus if you have to just exchange text messages, it would take a long time to build that picture or see that picture. So social media, if it's not corrupted, used in the right way, it can be a bridge, it can be a town center, it can be a meeting place. If you view it as that, it's a good thing. Just don't take it too seriously if you don't always see what you want to see and all that kind of stuff. You don't even know, when you factor the algorithms and stuff too, if your post is even on someone's feed, because like say you have 100 friends, is everybody clicking on everybody's like page? No, that's not even feasible, like sometimes you have the time, but most people don't have the time. They're just scrolling through the feed, and hopefully, your updates and posts and stuff is showing up. So you have to factor the algorithm too. So if it's not, it may not even be showing you. Your post could be buried, and then someone doesn't click like because they didn't even see it. They were checking, but they didn't see it because it's buried under advertisements and stuff like that. Then you can't get offended. You have to, once you factor all the variables, then you can use it healthfully. Once you factor all the variables I talked about and whatever you guys see, those variables, even your own personality is a variable, you factor all that in, then you can see. I do think it's a great tool to meet people, and communicate with people who are far away that you would be hard to contact with, hard to get updates from. So you can see different parts of the world, stuff like that. What's wrong with that? It just depends how you use it. Instagram, for example, it can be such a toxic place, because it's showing a lot of like, pictures of women on feeds and stuff, or men, like a lot of like body stuff and all that kind of stuff. That's like in its most toxic sense. But if all you follow tags and it's like all travel stuff or cities you like or hobbies you like, and then that's what's on your feed, what's wrong with that? You like to see, and it's more efficient scrolling through Instagram on topics that you like and looking at content you like hobbies or travel or dancing or whatever kind of thing you like, cars or fashion or, cute cats and stuff like that. It's way more efficient to scroll through that than to be Google searching or going through web pages and stuff like that. That is too cumbersome. I know some people use Tumblr. I guess that could work too. But Instagram can be a good thing because you're using it. It just depends what topics are you looking at. You know, is it the platform that's bad or is it the topics more so? So those are all factors in using social media in a healthy way. Pardon me if I ramble a bit. I just want to get all the points out I can think of, even if this video goes long, because I have a lot to say. And it's just, I'm kind of venting as well, because, this is the first time I made a video talking about this kind of stuff. So, and I've been using it for over 20 years. So, like, I've seen it go from like the computer, someone on a desktop computer, to someone on a laptop computer, to someone on using social media, you know, on the smartphone. And now, I've seen people use social media when the smartphone was a luxury item, back in what, 09, 2010, 2011. Smartphones when it was crossing over from like normal flip phones to smartphones, it was still hard to use social media. It was mainly computer based and web based. It wasn't really an app yet. And then, once 2011, 2012, 2013 kicked in, that's when smartphones became a lot cheaper. They were dropping in price, and everybody and their mama was getting a smartphone. And once that happened, everybody had a robust device and wireless device and convenient device, and it was on an app. Um, they could use social media and whatever stuff on their phone. Even grandmas were using it, right? Once the touchscreen became popularized and became mainstream and affordable, touchscreen phones, that's when it really blew up, right? Around 2013, 2014. And again, that's when social media really blew up even more because it was on a device that had all the functions on it: camera, front camera, back camera, keyboard, microphone, wireless capability, so you can take pictures out in the wild. So it can be a good thing if used properly. And also, if you like to stay private, preserve some of your privacy too. There's nothing wrong in keeping some of your stuff private if you feel like it. Um, but yeah, just use it as a tool to connect with people. Don't take offense. Here's some bullet points. Use it as a cool tool to connect with people. Use it as a bridge. Use it to network. Use it, you know, as take it with a grain of salt sometimes. Sometimes people show you a lot of love on it, and that's great, because that's how they can show it to you easily too. It's more convenient for even older people who are not from the cell phone generation to show you love. So it's a good thing. Like when you send a video to like your grandparents or to your friends and stuff, it speaks a lot more, than if you're only just typing and stuff. It's more obscure. You have to use your imagination, which isn't always bad. But just take everything with a grain of salt. But, you know, don't view all validation as bad. Do not. Because some people say you need no validation. That's not healthy. Like imagine if some people even take it like validation as like like no one should even tell them they like you or love you, and don't expect it. And don't expect it. That way you'll be healthy because you just don't expect anything from anybody. I'm like, how is that healthy? That's not healthy, never to be liked or loved, and never to like or love somebody else or show that you care and all that stuff. Like, how is that communication back and forth between people at the root? How is that a bad, toxic thing? It's not. It's a healthy thing. It's just whenever you're it's not needing it too much. Everybody needs love and care and all that kind of stuff, but it's when you're dependent on someone to express it in the way of a like or something like that, or a comment or a view and all that. Once you become dependent on them to express it in that way, and you depend on the volume and who's looking at it and the volume of it, how many. That's when it can become not good. Like, oh, hey, one post has 5 likes, the other post has 50 likes. Like, it doesn't mean that. Yeah, if you post something weird, obviously something that's clearly weird, some people can like it less for good reason. Okay, but sometimes people like something less. It doesn't mean anything. It's just It's not that was like a bad picture or anything, so it depends. The answer is it depends. Once you understand that, if you add it, it depends on most of your concerns. If you add that, the line, it depends, on the end of it, that will answer a lot of your questions because you can look at it and not just view it as black or white. So, yeah, I think that's it. I feel like there's a little bit more. I kind of have writer's block speaking. I don't know, this talking block. No, it's like writer's block, but whenever you blank out when you talk, I'm feeling that right now. But I feel like I have more to say. Uh, Social media can be, I think, one easy way, some tips to have a healthy social media experience is, add friends and family on it. Add people young and old, everybody, all ages to it. It makes it more well-rounded. It makes it less toxic. It makes it less vain. The vanity of social media can be is what makes it toxic, and when people are just posing, excuse me, people are just posing and they're just making it all about that, or if it's interrupting real human interactions when they're out with their friends and they're, you know, stuff like that. I mean, you'll know, just trust your intuition. God gave you intuition for a reason, and these are my opinions, and you have to use your intuition to answer and gain wisdom and use that to answer a lot of your life's questions. You can't always go to YouTube or Quora or Google to find the answer for every little bitty thing. You have to use your intuition and gain wisdom from being around older people that have been around the block. For you young people out there. But I think social media is a powerful tool. Um, be aware of data sharing and all that kind of stuff. It's your once it's on there, it's not private. So the companies can even see your stuff. But does that mean you just stop using it completely? No, maybe just share less on it. Like if it's just your name and like a picture, like it's nothing like top secret. And you just, so I used to think just stop using it completely, I'm gonna be better off. And for some people it is. But then you're gonna be relying on text messages and phone calls only, and it can be more work and more cumbersome to interact with people one by one versus in a group in a group setting, which so that's it. I'll probably make another video later as I think of more points, but I better end it here. I hope this helps y'all, and um, if you don't want to use it, don't use it. If you want to use it and you feel lonely, it's not good to be lonely. You can use it as an aid to communicating with people that you met in person and stuff. Meet people in person as well. Don't stop doing that. But you can use it as an aid, as a support, as a support, not support line, but just like as another information highway. But just view it as that, and also protect yourself. It's a highway, so there's good and bad people on it, just like out in the real world. So you have to, you know, protect yourself from the weirdos and stuff like that. Oh, that is my one other point. I now remember the weirdos. So when you're using social media, especially in America, especially anywhere in the world, you have to understand the weirdos that are on there, the creeps. Maybe, you know, for you guys who stuck to this part of the video, I'm sure you're interested now. But yeah, be aware of the weirdos and the creeps that are on social media and on the internet in general. Perverts, stuff like that. And um, it's not even the blocking part, like the not talking to them and the blocking them and all that kind of stuff. That is, people already know, that's second nature to do that. But when I talk about the creeps and the weirdos and the people who are maybe not even bad, but just the people who are negative people, let's just say negative people, that's actually more um proliferated than anything else. People who are negative. Don't let them bring you down. Now this can be even just people like public posts and you know news stories and stuff like that, and just don't let the negative that you see on there shape your world, and because they will bring you down, just by proximity. So don't let the negative people bring you down, because that can happen even if you're not talking to them, even just by seeing like a post or seeing like a story or even seeing suggested articles or suggested content or just feeds and stuff like that. You may see a lot of negativity, just the general negativity of those. Don't let that bring you down. Almost even ignore it or block it if you can. um, if they have like a real life situation where someone's sick, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the negative mindset that can keep you down with them. So just don't let it affect you by osmosis, even if it's not them interacting directly with you, but just don't let the negativity that you see on social media affect you by osmosis. And don't let, if someone has a different political view, a friend or family has a different political view and all that stuff, people are taking that stuff way too serious. And people are offended and, they're burning bridges and stop talking to other people for that. Why? Over something that's not even that serious, because of some heated news event or whatever. Don't let that, if someone has a difference in opinion or whatever, um, don't let that bring you down or anything like that. Don't even let it make you hate them, you know, because it's easy to do that. But don't even let that. That's, once you take those with a grain of salt, different views, different stuff like that. I think that's one big one. Don't let it affect you by osmosis. So that wraps up the video. Thanks for watching.